Ryan with Miss.Geek here, and this video is going to be something a little different. If you're a follower of the channel, you might have seen the last video where I showed some nice creek, and that's where I'm at now. The difference is I'm not just here to visit. I'm here to, well, I'm here to look around. I'm here to stay for a couple nights, so I'm looking forward to it. I've been watching this other YouTuber called Camping with Steve. His name is Steve Wallis. His channel is Steve W-A-L-L-I-S, a Canadian fellow who's got a wonderfully dry sense of humor, and got me wanting to camp, and so here I am. Now the difference is I was hoping to camp. This is a free campground, and so that means it doesn't cost anything, which is my favorite price. And so I was hoping to camp right on the river, right on this stream, and that didn't happen because I'm way the heck over there. And you'll see there's a road right there, and that's because this is like the last camping spot, literally, which I'm okay with. I was hoping to be right on the creek, but I don't really care. I can walk over here and dip my feet or do whatever I want to do, just chillax and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to that for the weekend. It's all going to be shot on my phone and by hand, so if it's shaky, I apologize, and I'll try to remember to look into the camera, because instead I'm looking at the screen, which has my beautiful face on it. Anyway, thanks for following along, and we'll see what's next. Alright, so this is my little campsite that I've got, and if anybody's wondering, this is site D4 at Porter Creek Campground. And basically there's a nice campground just down the road a little bit, with camping spaces that are designated, and bathrooms, and it's right on the creek, and it's also full of people, and literally full. I couldn't get a spot there even though I wanted to. I got here at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is probably about 3 or 4 hours too late. I should have got here in the morning, but not bad for getting off after work and coming down here. So I'm not upset at all. At first I was a little bummed, but gotta roll with the punches, right? I'm not here to have a great recreation, I'm here to relax. But I did bring a ginormous amount of stuff with me in my Suburban. Number one thing I brought with me was this spider right here. There's a spider, and I'm not sure if he's alive, but he's keeping me company, so I made sure I brought him along. And then I brought a bunch of junk I'll probably never need, but I'm planning on camping in the back of my truck, so I brought way too much stuff. So there's no place to have a little bench or anything to cook, so I'll just be using this little spot right here in the truck, in the back, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so after the last segment, I went and took a little nap, just sitting in the chair. But the sun was beating down pretty hard, although it's a little bit later now, so the sun's starting to go behind the hills, behind the trees. But I set up this awning, and I had bought the rope and the tarp with the idea that I might be able to set up an awning. And I wasn't sure how it would work out, but it worked out okay. I didn't bring any poles. I didn't, in fact, have any. One of the things I didn't get to doing before I came out here. And so I got these sticks, and I just kind of walked around the area down there and found these poles that were kind of ready to use. Had to narrow them a little bit. In the fire pit, however, I found a couple of zip ties that were hooked together for whatever reason, and I disconnected them, and I used one of them to zip tie to this pole right here. And then that goes down to that rock. This one, on the other hand, this pole, it goes through it, and it has the rope tied to it. And then that rope goes to a peg. And that peg is just a piece of wood that I whittle at the end. And I wouldn't call it bushcrafting, I would call it forgetting my tent pegs at home. And so I didn't think to bring them. The soil over here, unfortunately, was just too rocky. I couldn't get a peg into it, and I didn't have enough rope to run it further out where it's nice over there, or I probably would have done that. But those rocks should hold. Now you're probably wondering how I affixed it to the truck, considering that I don't have like a fancy ARB awning setup for my truck. And the answer to that is more rope. And so let me take you over here. So I've just got a basic slip knot going here, and then it follows the rain gutter, and then I just tied this loop into it and through the eyelet on the tarp, and then over here, and then I wasted a bunch of rope on a trucker's hitch, and I've got more rope here because I thought I would need to tighten it, but I don't. I would do this differently if I were to do it again, if I was more prepared. And then on the other side, I just have it going through the other corner of the tarp, and then another trucker's hitch. And this one goes down to my handle there. So what I would do in the future, on the other hand, yeah, you can see I affixed the other side by going straight to the rain gutter, which actually works fine. What would be really nice is if I had hooks just right into the roof of the truck for this, but I'm really averse to drilling through the roof of my truck for pretty much anything. So maybe if I ever do a roof rack, I'll put hooks on the roof rack. But anyway, that's it, and it's the tarp awning that cost me, I don't know, $5, and about way too long. Maybe I don't know. I didn't time it. I think this probably took me 45 minutes or an hour to set up, because I've never in my life done anything like this before. Okay, so what we've got going on here is some netting, not netting, but rather some screen that I bought at the hardware store for $1.50 a foot. I bought about 5 feet of it, and I'm just going to cut it here. And what I'm doing is I'm making mosquito netting for my windows, so they can stay open without me getting murdered by mosquitoes as I sleep tonight. And so the way this works, I've got all these magnets here, and I've just got some hard drive magnets, and I wrapped both sides in a camo duct tape there, and just put these around the perimeter. And then of course I'll smooth out all the edges so that there's no gaps. Don't have a tripod, or I would just use a tripod to do this so that it's not so shaky. Sorry about that. And this one's double. These hard drive magnets sure like to stick together. Here we go. Put that up there, and take the last one and stick it right there, and I'll reorganize these as necessary. But now all I gotta do is kind of cut out the same pattern as the window. I'm just gonna cut along the bottom here, and maybe around that edge right there, so that edge doesn't lift up, so that the mosquitoes can't get in there. Or I like what the Australians call them, mozzies, the mozzies. So anyway, I've already got this up on the other side. You can see the net up, sort of. But anyway, I'll trim this and come back and show you the finished product. Alright, so here's my sleeping setup. And I've got a mat here that's actually made for, I think, a twin or something. And then I've got this Pacific Crest brand sleeping bag that opens up. I haven't ever used it. I actually bought this from a friend of mine for $3 at his garage sale. I've done nothing more than bring it home. So I don't know anything about it. I have another sleeping bag, which I think I also got from him, that thing over there, for a couple dollars. And if this one doesn't work out, or if I get cold, I can put that one on. And then I've got this so that I can have lights. Alright, so I spent the last few minutes trying to make some sort of fire, and if you know how to make a fire, then you know that this is not how you make a fire. Because I don't know how to make a fire. I know how to stack things, and I know how to light things. I do not know how to do it correctly so that it turns into a nice blazing fire. In fact, when we had a wood stove, my wife was the one who excelled at fire making. But she's not here. She's at home. So here we go. We'll see if we can get this going. I'm not going to show a video of me trying to get it lit because, frankly, it might not even be successful. So we will certainly try. However, I did not bring any accelerants, unfortunately, because that would have been smart. But oh well. We'll see if I can get this going or not. Big, giant slug. It is now 8:30 p.m. and I just got my fire started. And the reason I got it started at all was because of a friendly neighbor who gave me that lighter. Because the kitchen torch that I was using, it died. I tried to refill it last night before I left, and apparently I thought it was full and it wasn't. So it's out of commission. And then I used this camp stove. I used the lighter to light the camp stove, and then used the camp stove to light wood and get it under there, and that worked. Alright, so I got my fire going nice and decent. Had my hot dogs. Those were pretty good. I pre-mixed some condiments, some ketchup and mustard and mayonnaise. Pre-mixed those in a, let me turn off my headlamp here. Pre-mixed those in a Ziploc and just spooned them into some buns, and then cooked the hot dogs on the on that little antenna stick there. And I've got, you can see the baked beans sitting there baking. Those are probably going to be really super duper hot. I'm just going to use my pliers, pull it out of the fire, and pour it onto my plate. So anyway, that's what we got going, and I was in fact able to get a really good fire going, so I'm pretty proud of myself for that. Not something I'm terribly good at, nor have I done in a very, very long time. Well, good morning. There is where I spent the last 8 hours or so, and it's about exactly 7:19 in the morning. And I usually wouldn't get up this early when I camp, but I didn't actually have enough padding, and so it was pretty firm. And truck beds aren't known for being good for sleeping on, because they're just metal. Now, a couple years ago, I picked up a mattress topper from a garage sale. It's actually not even really a garage sale, it was free. And I've used it, some of the foam, it's like one of those memory foam things, and I've used some of the foam for projects and whatever, but I really think I should have cut out a giant piece of it to put under the piece of foam that I've already got. So tomorrow night, I've brought that second sleeping bag. I'm going to try putting that under me tomorrow, or tonight rather, and we'll see how that goes. Now, the reason I'm in my truck instead of sitting outside is because these little tiny gnats are flying around everywhere. It's rather thick with them, and they bite my hand, my arms. I was out there for, I don't know, 10 minutes, and my arms are just covered in bites, and they itch. I should have used some bug spray. Alright, so here we are in the morning, and this morning I found my awning, one of the poles was collapsed because the stake had pulled out, and over here I replaced the stake with a rock, but the awning was down, unfortunately. And what had happened is it had rained overnight and it collected a lot of water because it's concave there. So tonight I'm just going to bring the awning down to a lower level so that it's not a problem. And that thing I thought was a chair, a little stool, is actually a table, which is better. I actually need that. So kind of stoked about that. My guitar case did get rained on, but that's why it's a guitar case, not the guitar. And then I got my Coleman propane stove going. Now I'm no furnace guy, but this thing's putting out a lot of BTU. It heated up that water. It boiled it in about 2 minutes flat. So that's my coffee, my morning coffee right there. So I'm going to make it. And I did notice that I actually burned myself on this thing when I was messing with it last night, because right in here it caught on fire and I could smell paint burning and stuff. So I took it apart. It's all okay. I think the O-ring on this piece needs to be replaced, so I'll get one of those next time I'm at the hardware store. Okay, so I burned myself on the coffee, but I'm okay. Just scalded my mouth a little bit, but it actually doesn't taste horrid. But it's definitely not the coffee I'm used to. I'm going to attempt bacon and eggs now, and I brought eggs like this because I didn't have an egg carton, and this would fit in my cold bag pretty good. So I just cut this open right here, that's why it's taped, and then put some paper towel between them. And then I've got some bacon here, and I'm not going to eat all of that bacon, although it's not very cold, so I'm not sure if I want to keep it till tomorrow. I might, but I'm not going to eat all of it. I'm not going to cook all of it. And I've got this cast iron that my grandmother said came over on a covered wagon. Unfortunately, as much as I love my grandmother, I've done a lot of research to try to identify this pan, and it was probably made in the 30s or 40s. But maybe that's the story she got, so I'm sure she believed it, but I don't think that was the case. Nevertheless, this is a smooth, beautiful pan, and I just need to wipe it out and get cooking. So my contingency plan was scrambled eggs, but I actually managed not to break any of the yolks. Probably due to the fact that it's a very old cast iron pan, so it's very smooth, and the fact that there was like, a 1/4 inch of bacon grease at the bottom. So just some salt and pepper, and we'll be ready to chomp down on this goodness. Now I'm going to throw my phone on the charger here. I brought my charger cord and a little power pack here. And it looks like all I've got to do is plug this in, turn it on, and then plug it into my phone. Which I'm trying to do while I'm filming. There we go. And now it's charging. Yay! Alright. Cool, I was hoping that would work. So, I'll link below to one of these that gets good reviews on Amazon, because these things are so cool. You really should be carrying something like this, because especially with social distancing and all that, asking a stranger for a jump is going to be harder these days. So if you drive an old car like I do, carry one of these. This usually spends all its time in the back of my daughter's van, but a new alternator and I think a new battery took care of the problems she was having. But for a while there, she was having to ask for jumps now and then. So these things are highly recommended, and this is like the bottom of the barrel when it comes to these, but even then it still works great. I've got no intention of replacing it, although I think I might buy a second one for the truck. Oh, and what did I do today? I went down to the creek and pondered for a little bit, and then I came back in and pondered the back of my eyelids. That was after having pondered the back of my eyelids during the morning. I slept like 3 hours, and then this afternoon I slept like 3 hours. So, mission accomplished. This is my kind of camping. Alright, so step one tonight was a nice fire. Step two, nice cold beer. So, we're drinking Quilter's Irish Death. And it's dark, smooth ale. This is pretty much the best stuff. And the one thing I love about it the most is that it's not an IPA. In the Pacific Northwest, there is an obsession with IPAs, which basically is an India Pale Ale, which is stuff that has so much hops in it, it wants to just peel the taste buds right off your tongue. I don't get it. I like hoppy sometimes, just a little bit, but these IPAs around here are a bit overwhelming, if I'm going to be honest. So one thing I didn't know is that right up there is a UTV trail, and so just now there was a four-wheeler and some side-by-sides and stuff going by, and you know, I don't really mind. Other people are having their fun too, and I can respect that. On the other hand, a Jeep pulled up a few minutes ago behind me, or between me and the road, like a Jeep Liberty or something with a bunch of kids in it, and they were anything but just kids having fun. They weren't very respectful. They were loud, and being a, you know, teenage kids out having their kind of fun on a Saturday night, I'm just glad they kept moving. Alright, so one of the unsung heroes of this trip is this guy. This is a Gerber suspension. It's one of their lower end multi-tools, but I can't tell you how useful that thing is. I've used it on my electronics bench. I've used it to work on my truck, and just now I used it to open that can because I forgot a can opener. And it works. It doesn't do everything great, but like when I needed to whittle the ends of that tip to get it in, or when I needed to try to do the same with that, although it's just too big, I used the knife on that. It's also got a little saw on it, so you can saw things, which is pretty cool. But they're cheap. I'm not sure what the current price is, but they're under $40. And for a multi-tool that's not junk, that's cheap. I mean, you can get a $10 multi-tool at the hardware store, and I'll guarantee you that when we first time you go try to use it, your hand's gonna be all mashed up, because the way they set them up is that all the bits and all the tools are on the outside when you're holding it, so you're actually holding all the bits and everything, whereas this one is the opposite. All the bits and stuff are on the inside when you're using the pliers specifically. So the pliers on this one are set up correctly. You are holding all the bits and stuff when you're using it normally like this, but the aforementioned pair of gloves can fix that real quick. But you can spend $80 or $100 on a nice Leatherman or Gerber tool, but I mean, for the price, I've been so happy with this one. Anyway, I'll put a link down to it below, and I link to this stuff because, yeah, it's affiliate links, and yeah, that's how I support my YouTube channel and my website. Otherwise, I really don't think I could justify having them, because there is an expense to doing this stuff. The time expense really in doing YouTube videos, because I'm just using my phone. I can't really afford the camera equipment, but there is a tangible server expense when it comes to hosting my website and the server that it's on and everything. So, and of course the time that goes into it. Time is not free. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you and explain why I do the affiliate stuff. Don't think I'm trying to sell you stuff. If I ever link to something, you can know that it's something that I wholeheartedly would recommend to one of my best friends, because I believe in it, not because I'm trying to sell you something. I never, ever do that. Anyway, so just waiting for my fire to get down to some nice coals, which it's getting pretty dang close. I think I could probably cook my hot dogs now. So I'm just going to get my buns ready, and hot dog buns, that is. Cook me up a couple of hot dogs for dinner. Found a good use for my Gerber tool, the pliers here. Getting the baked beans in and out of the fire. You can see they're boiling up pretty good now. I did test them a minute ago, and there were some that were still cold. So there's just that one spot's boiling, but the whole thing is heating up. Probably not supposed to cook them in the can, but they tasted fine when I did it last night, so I thought I'd share. Got a beautiful sunset going up in the Pacific Northwest, Porter Creek Campground. Thanks for joining me. Well, good morning, and this is, I guess, day 3. Yeah, day 3. So last night was my second night of sleeping, and man, you know what? I slept like a baby with colic, and a very uncomfortable baby. I need more padding, but I got through the night. Somehow I slept better the first night, probably because I did so much napping yesterday. Anyway, got my bacon and eggs, and my instant coffee, and my Coleman stove that almost blew up but didn't. So I'm going to go have that, and then we'll check in a little bit. Alright, so camping trip is officially over. You can see all my stuff in the back. Got it all put away, and pretty happy with how the camping trip went. So there was a couple of funny glitches. One is that my what's it called, the kitchen torch that little mini torch I had taken to start fires ran out of butane before I could get this fire started. So I walked down to another camp and they gave me a lighter, which was cool. But just today, as I was digging in my center console in order to put some things away, I found a book of matches, naturally. Not that I needed it by then. The other thing is that my Coleman camp stove likes to catch itself on fire, so I've got to solve that. I think it's just that little O-ring, because that's where the fire's coming out at. So didn't burn anything down, although I did burn my thumb once before I realized it was on fire internally. It also needs a solid cleaning. That thing is kind of gross. I think the last time it got used before today was probably on a river rafting trip in Snake River, because that's where Randy, the fellow who gave it to me, probably would have used it. It was some sort of river rafting trip. So anyway, the other glitch was that I'm an idiot and didn't put on the insect repellent that I had. And so my forearms, which are pretty much the only uncovered part of me except my head, although for some reason they didn't target my head, my forearms are just garbage. They hurt, they itch, and that was kind of dumb. Today I used plenty. Yesterday I wish I had done the same. Anyway, so that's about that. Thanks for hanging on this long. And if I ever go camping again, I'll make sure to make a video about it and post it here. So if you're into electronics or just geeky things in general, I hope you'll subscribe and do all that good stuff. I don't post often, but when I do, I hope it's something good. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.